everyone. Okay, so obviously this week's episode is really about showing the aftermath of last week and also showing just what's happening concurrently with all the other battles on Onigashima as well. And the first thing to talk about with this episode is seeing that even if it is partly out of desperation to survive, I like how we do see Zeus showing genuine regret for his actions for attacking Nami, and that Nami herself, however comically vindictive and unforgiving towards Zeus she was after the fact, we get to see that she does, because Nami is still a kind person at heart, she does still care about Zeus in the end. Now, I'm kind of giving away a slight spoiler for the anime onlys, but in regards to Zeus's sacrifice play and his death, so to speak, despite how that looks, he's not actually dead. It's kind of a weird thing that happens that, in my mind, Oda just barely got away with in the manga, and honestly, even now, despite the laws of souls and all that, it still kind of feels a little weird. And yes, I mean even weirder than how things normally go for One Piece. I don't know how else to describe it other than something within the execution itself, in terms of how Zeus comes back, just felt so off that it didn't really fit with me. That aside, though, in terms of the actual progression of the fights themselves, there really wasn't much else to talk about, as it feels like we're kind of just entering the stage of the anime now where we're just waiting for the main players, i.e. Zoro, Sanji, and I guess in this episode's case, Kid, to basically step up to fight all the main antagonists of this arc, and just in general for the main Straw Hat fights to begin, because aside from a couple other things to talk about, this episode was, again, just going through the motions. Don't get me wrong, I love seeing Chopper fight Queen, but we are reaching that point where we got to kind of move on from it, and hopefully we do eventually. Now, with that said, though, through Momonosuke recounting his father's adventures through reading his journal, he suddenly starts hearing a voice in his head, and honestly, it's in all these little details and that I'm only now just realizing what all of it was leading to, and just the overall importance Wano has, not just with the arc itself, but the island itself, the importance Wano as a country, as an island has to the overarching tale of One Piece. It's a little hard to say anything more without going into even more spoiler territory, but let's just say in typical One Piece fashion, one of the many plot beats that was set up from near the beginning or early into the story is about to be revealed, and honestly, I'm a little ashamed I didn't see it coming. Honestly, at the time, everything was staring at me in the face. I just couldn't put the pieces together because I'm an idiot. But just looking back on it now, it's it was so fucking obvious. I'm surprised I didn't catch on before. Of course, the episode ends with Kid reappearing to continue his fight with Big Mom, and honestly, it was from this point onwards that the fight with Big Mom actually became my second favorite part of the arc. I do remember, don't get me wrong, I do remember complaining a lot about the pacing of it quite a bit, but even then, in retrospect, when I look back on all the fights that happened in Wano that weren't Luffy versus Kaido, this one stood out to me as being one of the best, with maybe one of the best, or like I said, one of the best, but maybe Zoro and Sanji's fight coming in fighting it out for third place. But the only thing I do worry about right now with the whole Kid versus Big Mom fight now is that with it getting so hyped up now, I'm a little worried that it's gonna play out even longer than the manga. But aside from that, I am still excited that we've reached the point where we're getting this fight. We're getting the big one of the main big brawls of the arc has started. And with Luffy technically defeating Kaido, Kaido's preparing to announce his defeat to all of Onigashima. But the thing is, this is one of those moments that truly does begin the start of Kaido's downfall, because the thing is, Kaido kind of jinxed himself in the beginning of the episode, and now he is gonna suffer for it. Like, I'm not joking when I say that, putting Toei's usual pacing issues aside, everything beyond this point in terms of the plot the story, just and just the fight with Kaido itself, it's all going to go fast. Like, so many aspects to the fight, so many plot threads, so much about Wano is going to start converging into all these plot threads with Wano are going to start converging into one nexus point after this episode. And granted, there is still going to be some setup as well in between, and those are more than likely going to be just as slow as the manga. But like, I'm not exaggerating when I say that this is where Wano does in fact reach its peak. Like this beyond this point, this is where Wano truly like explodes as like honestly one of the pretty much great arcs. Like Wano as an arc has always been kind of Wano. Again, I said this with the final chapter of Wano, but Wano in retrospect is kind of a weird arc where a lot of its early pacing issues do pretty much like drag it down from being an amazing arc. But for me, it is still like a solid 8 out of 10. Just from which this section of the story alone, like the section we're heading into with the anime is just like it truly is like the best of Wano. So, but yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, handle as Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.